Hi everyone, and I'm Todd Hefferman. This is sports editor Les Winkeler, and we're here to talk about SIU's first football game of the year. The Salukis are going to Southeast Missouri State Saturday night, 6 p.m. at Houck Stadium. SIU is ranked 17th in one poll and 19th in the other. They finished last year with a losing record for the first time since I think 2002. Snapped a 7-year playoff run for the Salukis, and they are starting to try to get back in the playoffs starting this week against an Ohio Valley Conference team that rallied from 18 points down in the second half last year in Saluki Stadium to beat SIU 24-21. Do you expect a different outcome this year, Les?
Yeah, I think so. I think the Salukis are going to go into SEMO with a little bit of revenge on their mind. At the same time, when SEMO came back last year, that seemed like a really bad loss at the time. However, SEMO went on to have a very good season. They made the playoffs, so that kind of mitigated the sting a little bit, but still, there's no way you should give up an 18-point lead in the third quarter at your own place against a team that wasn't, I mean, they were a playoff contender, but they weren't a national caliber type team either. So this is a different look Saluki team, I think, but it's there's enough parts left over that they're going to remember last year and try to turn that around.
Yeah, I think they remember a lot from last year, and the two teams really went in different directions after that because SIU lost the following weekend at Youngstown State, 31-28. They had 4 turnovers in that game, which proved to be a season-long problem, and they could never come back from that. And then SEMO goes on to win the league in 7-1 for the first time. They made the playoffs for the first time in their 104 years of the program, finished 9-3, and they have a good quarterback back, Matt Scheibel, who's running quarterbacks have given SIU some problems in the past, but I think they don't have the All-American tailback they had. Henry Harris had 18 of their 31 offensive touchdowns last year. He's the one that had the 67-yard run in the fourth quarter that really clinched it for SEMO last year. But they have 3 running backs coming back this year. They could still have a pretty good attack.
Well, the one thing about SIU last year too, and you said that the Salukis went in the wrong direction following that game. Well, they did until like the last 2 or 3 weeks of the season because they were just decimated by injuries, particularly in the secondary. And by the last 2 or 3 weeks, some of those people that were forced into the lineup were getting more comfortable with their assignments. And the team kind of turned it around the last couple of weeks. It was obviously too late to make the playoffs. But I think SIU is going to be stronger this year because of that. Because there's a lot of people on the defensive side of the ball who took a lot of, were on the field for a lot of snaps last year.
Yeah, and I asked a lot of the coaches how tough it is to learn SIU's system, and they ranked it like a 6 or a 7 on a scale of 1 to 10. So you got 4 true freshmen playing right off the bat, playing in nationally Division I football right away. In one of the toughest conferences in the country, and they ended up really, when they got into a rhythm there the last 3 games, they really showed what SIU was capable of, I think.
Yeah, and with the carryovers they have, the Chance Cotas, the Jason DeMonches, and Mike McElroy back, you add in all those people who played a lot last year, and I think this is going to be a quality defense.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to see what the secondary can do because you have Mike McElroy back. He's a 5th-year senior. He's a preseason All-American. He just makes it go. And Lennon even said that the other day. It's like I'm happy to have our quarterback back on defense. If you don't play that system, you don't know how much a difference that will make for them. And Boo Rogers is the other safety. He's only a sophomore, but he may be the best athlete on the team. Period.
Well, and then even though these guys got a lot of experience, it's still a young secondary. I mean, there's still a lot of sophomores back there. So yeah, having McElroy back, I see is a big plus.
And the other, what you can't predict is how SIU will deal with those turnovers because they're going to have some. It's just last year they single-handedly took them out of some games, and they have to find a way to limit those. One of those is interceptions. The pressure on the quarterback, and just making some poor decisions really led to a couple of those, and then fumbles you can never really prepare for. But they've got to do a good enough job to keep themselves in the game.
Yeah, and that's one of those things. I mean, is it opportunity? Is it luck? You can argue that. At that point, there's a lot of factors in turnovers. So, and sometimes the breaks of your game, the breaks just don't go your way, and that was the case sometimes last year. But you're absolutely right. protecting the quarterback can go a long way to preventing turnovers. Making good decisions can go an awfully long way toward preventing turnovers. So it's something you can address, but I don't know that it's something you can control completely.
Well, here's what I think the key to the game is. Obviously, SIU has to try to limit the explosive plays. They can't give up big 60-yard runs. They have to make SEMO try to play from behind, preferably, because they throw it well, but they lost 5 of their 6 top receivers. Now they have their top receiver back, who's 6'6", and 4th or 5th year senior. But when you run that type of offense, it's difficult to score points in a hurry. So they have to limit those. They have to tackle well. They have to limit the big plays, and they have to find a way to get pressure on a quarterback that is going to have 2 or 3 running backs behind him, and they have to play the run first.
And Scheibel is very capable of eluding tacklers. I mean, he gave him fits last year. He can buy some time back there and make some things happen. So they do have to contain him. I mean, that's, I guess, about as obvious as you can get. You have to contain the other team's quarterback. But I like the Salukis up front. I like their linebackers. So yeah, they should be up to the task. I'm hoping they're up to the task, because when you go to Ole Miss the next week, I mean, the Salukis have had good success against Division I teams, but that's not a game that you can look at and say that we should win or we're going to win.
Mm-hmm.
If you win, that's wonderful, and you have to go in with that attitude. But that's why this is a pretty big game, to get out on the right foot and get a win here.
And Len's talked about a really important, having a non-conference, having a winning record in the non-conference. And they only got 3 games, and you got to think it's going to be pretty damn tough to go to Ole Miss and win. Well, they get Eastern, I think, week 8 or week 7, right there at the end. That is a home game. That's the Blackout Cancer game. That's a winnable game, and you got to think SEMO is one that may turn the table there.
And I like this game a lot better than last year. They opened with Quincy. I mean, last year, you knew it was going to be a win, and I think that was partially because they wanted to open the new stadium on a high note or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a game that's going to give you a more accurate reading of where you are. It's going to expose your weaknesses where they're at, and it's going to show where you are solid. So I think this is a good game to start off with, particularly with SEMO coming off that good year. So I like starting on this road trip. So,
what do you remember about the atmosphere there?
Last time I was at Hawk Stadium, the Red Hawks weren't very good, so there wasn't a whole lot of atmosphere. It's an old stadium. It's pretty chummy. A lot of people right on top of the field. I'm assuming that there's going to be a nice crowd. With the success they had last year, I fully expect it to be a different atmosphere. Plus, a lot of SIU people can come because it's only a couple hour drive. So I'm looking for a big crowd. I'm looking for a lot of fun.
Yeah, and they've made some major improvements in their stadium. They have a new field turf now. They have a new scoreboard they got from, I think, Jacktronics that has a video replay system. So it should really be a nice facility when we go down there this weekend. And kickoff at 6 p.m. It is on the Heartland CW, if you get that. And it's also being webcast on KFVS12.com if you can't be there in person. But I'll tell you need to be there in person. It's going to be a pretty big game.
I'm looking forward to it.
Thank you, and we will catch you next week for Saluki football.